When we talk about the HPA axis, we're really talking about a larger overarching system, the neuroendocrine system, right?
Right. I mean, initially we just called it the HPA part of the longevity wheel. And then I'm like, you know what? We really have to call this neuroendocrine, because within neuroendocrine, there's the HPA axis, which is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis.
Which
That's
is
what we
most
know
commonly
about.
known. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Everybody knows that. It's
Right.
around cortisol and stress response. But with that is the HPT axis, the hypothalamic pituitary thyroid axis. That's how that's all controlled.
Okay.
And then the HPG, which would be Hans Peter Gehrig, the guy who used to work for me. No, it's not. But those were his initials. It's the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis.
Do you remember everyone's initials that worked for you?
Well, he signed all the contracts with me, so I just remember that one. But here's the gonadal axis. So it's how is the top-down ordering controlling stress response, cortical response, how is it controlling thyroid as a response, and how is it controlling the formation of the sex hormones.
Right.
And so, on steroidogenesis, you have starting from cholesterol, going down through pregnenolone, progesterone, you're going over to glucocorticosteroids, or you're going down and over into your sex hormones.
Right.
And so really this is all about the hormone wing of your
Longevity.
life,
Yes.
the hormone wing of longevity. And so there's things that we want to bring up and have robust, like the gonadal hormones. There's things we want stabilized, and that, like the thyroid. And then, of course, the adrenal output, we want that to be acute when we need it, and then we want it to go down.
Yes.
So, of course, with everything in the longevity wheel, it's going to come down to the mitochondria. And the mitochondria are really super strong in modulating our stress response. And it turns out things like corticosteroids, these things like cortisol, in short pulses, they stimulate mitochondrial function.
Oh, sure.
But
Give
when
you
they're-
energy to,
right.
fight off the lion.
Yeah, and that's all the stress response. It
Yeah.
comes from where the power plants are,
Yep.
in the mitochondria. But then prolonged sustained cortisol. Now we know that decreases immune response, and there's all kinds of problems. This is why people highly stressed get sick.
Right.
But it damages mitochondrial function. So that's one of the ways to create damaged mitochondrial function. And then we know from there, we might move into senescence. There's all kinds of different things. So when you look at this neuroendocrine, it's really helpful to think about what do we use. And often in these talks, we haven't talked about what the compounds we're using are. But here, we're focusing highly on adaptogens.
Yes.
So adaptogens, we know they modulate cortisol output and that adrenal axis.
Yes.
They modulate the thyroid. So people with thyroid dysfunction always have primary adrenal dysfunction first. And so when we bring the adrenals back on, then the thyroid can balance it more.
So that's kind of a foundational aspect is getting our adrenals in check and back to normal, and these other things kind of fall into place.
Yeah, and the gonadal axis, actually, when the adrenals are more in the right episodic pulses, the gonads can have their episodic pulses of producing all the sex hormones. And then what people don't always see about adaptogens and sex hormone production is that the adaptogens they don't really increase like your testosterone level, but they increase your sex receptor density.
Oh,
so
nice. So it's not like you're actually affecting your hormone levels from like an HRT perspective, right? Which is kind of a safer way to go sometimes.
Your hormone activity is a combination of the hormone levels and the receptor density. So we can increase receptor density and receptor crosstalk and receptor balance to get hormone balance in. Now, in this axis, we also could be doing bioidentical hormone replacement. And in the product systems that we're doing, we have pregnenolone and DHEA. Then if you want to go to higher ones like testosterone and estrogen, then you're going to be going to compounding pharmacies and getting those prescribed. But having a balanced effect of those is dependent on having the right adaptogen blends in the system.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Dr. Shea.
Thank you, Mindy.